Hi there, and welcome to Studio SN, your place for card making, rubber stamping, and paper crafting tutorials. My name is Sara Naumann, and I'm so very glad you're here. Today we're creating colorful layered backgrounds with alcohol inks and Dura-Lar, and that's what I've used to make the background of my card. So the pink and the red that you see here is alcohol ink that's been applied to a piece of Dura-Lar and then layered on top of some sheet music. And it's a great way to give your cards and your mixed media projects some extra depth and dimension, and also some really beautiful color. And even better, it's quick and easy. So let me show you the supplies I'm working with, and then we'll get into the process itself. So I'm starting with Dura-Lar, and I'm using the matte version of Dura-Lar, and that's going to give me a really beautiful sort of frosted effect. You can see even as I'm putting it down on top of the package how it's ghosting back some of that pattern. That's going to make it perfect for layering. Now, because it's a non-porous material, it's also ideal for working with alcohol inks. And here I'm using two alcohol ink refills from Altenew. I'm using the Frosty Pink and the Coral Berry, and I'm going to be applying these directly onto that surface. So I'm going to move aside my big pad of Dura-Lar and bring in a smaller piece that I've cut to size. And I've just cut this with my paper trimmer. It's super sturdy and strong, but also quite easy to cut and also pretty flexible and lightweight. So what I'm going to have on hand, not only my two alcohol inks, but also some isopropyl alcohol. You might also find this in your local pharmacy or Rite Aid as rubbing alcohol. You need to have that on hand. I'm also going to use a brayer for this portion of the technique, and I'm going to have on hand a little pipette. And I picked this up at my local drugstore, so you should be able to find these quite easily and inexpensively, and they're great for inking techniques. So what I'm going to do is start with my Frosty Pink, that's the lighter color, and then move to my Coral Berry. I'm going to have both of these on hand. And I'm just going to apply a few drops of each one just directly on top of this Dura-Lar, and you can watch the color start to spread out. Now you can let them spread as they are, or you can use a brayer to kind of move some of that ink around just to blend those really well if you want to. And I'm not really brayering it a whole lot. I'm just sort of making sure that the colors do blend one into the other, and I think even this just looks beautiful. Now to add some kind of splot effects on here, I'm going to use the isopropyl alcohol for this. And I'll just put a little bit of it onto my craft sheet. You don't need to have a whole lot. I'll grab this pipette, and you've got a bulb at one end of this. So what you'll do is sort of squeeze the bulb to pull in some of that rubbing alcohol into the barrel of the pipette. And then you can spatter it, tap it, or even just drop bits of that rubbing alcohol right onto your background. And you can just see how beautifully this will react to the rubbing alcohol, or the rubbing alcohol will react to the alcohol ink. I think it is just gorgeous. Now all you need to do is just let that dry, and you'll be ready to use this piece on your card. So what I've done is simply layered it up onto a piece of sheet music, and I wanted to have enough of that rubbing alcohol moving the alcohol ink around so that you do have some lighter areas where you can actually see some of the text underneath. Really just depends on what you're layering your piece on top of. So let me bring back in the original card, and I'll show you how I put this together. You can notice here that I've also got some embossing going along the edges, the long edges of this. And I've just simply taken an embossing ink pad and then used a little bit of strawberry sundae embossing powder on top and heat set that. Now because the Dura-Lar is heat embossable, it's not going to warp or melt. You can do your heat embossing and embossing techniques on it as well. Now the stamps that I'm working with are from Altenew, and I'm using the Heart Flowers collection. So this is a layered flower collection. It's also got coordinating dies to go along with it, which means that I don't have to fussy cut all of these elements here. And of course you've got the sentiment on the card front as well, just a little bit of twine, and you've got a really simple card design. Of course this works beautifully in whatever colors of alcohol ink you happen to have on hand. So this is how you can use alcohol ink and Dura-Lar to create really quick and easy backgrounds. Thank you so much for joining me today on Studio SN. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe to Studio SN on YouTube, and I'll keep you updated on the very latest stamping and card making videos. In the meantime, please feel free to stop by my website, saranaumann.com, for even more tips and techniques. Thanks again, and I will see you next week.